So it's another late night with Corey at the shop. I'm actually overworking him tonight. But you know, with all the stuff that's going on right now, we might not have these opportunities all the time.
Right, you know, we're talking about coronavirus and,
Right.
you know, we're in Washington, we might be get quarantined, so we want to get a lot of videos, and we know we are going to spend a ton of time with fish, or maybe you guys are too, and you're going to want to, you know, you might not be able to run out to your fish store and buy stuff, but you can put ideas together.
Put ideas together. So I just wanted to run through, I mean, this just happens to be a 3-gallon tank, a nano tank, with something that you could do with this and put it in here. And I want you to quickly show them what Caitlin has done with that one over there.
Yep. We'll go to a normal mode here, not the wide mode. So we'll punch in.
So, I mean, this is actually a really beautiful setup in my opinion.
Yeah, with the BETTA, the live plants.
Yep, the little nano fish in there.
Yeah, the Brigittate.
You've got a Nerac snail there.
Mm-hmm.
The moss balls, some floating plants.
These are actually exclamation point raspberries, my bad, not Brigittates, but
that's right.
Had to correct myself on camera.
So I'm thinking, okay, what is something that I might do with that?
Yeah.
And you know, keeping in mind you're talking about just 3 gallons, you're not going to put a whole school of neon tetras or something like that in there.
Maybe you won't.
Well, yeah, you might, but I wouldn't. I would go. This is one of my favorite fish. It's like the rainbow trout of the fish. Is the celestial pearl danios. Really cool little fish. They're not too difficult to breed, actually. Maybe put 5 or 6 of them in there. On the other side over here, if I can find them again, the pygmies are down there, but I think I would go with the HABROSUS catfish. The pygmies will stay a little bit smaller, but these are, I just like these a little bit better.
How many would you put in of those?
Maybe 3.
And what about the other celestial pearl danios?
Maybe no more than 6. Okay, 5 or 6. I would not go less than 5 either, because you want it to try to interact.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would come back to that celestial pearl danio tank. My first thought was to put in cherry shrimp, but right now really popular are these blue velvet shrimp, and you can see some on there. This guy's swimming freely up here.
Yeah.
I just think that gives it a little another flash of color. And just put in a half a dozen. You're going to end up more than that, but I believe the celestial pearl danios will take care of some of the shrimplets.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Do you think you could breed the celestial pearl danios in a 3-gallon?
I know you could, but you probably would have to take the other stuff out.
Yeah.
Because the eggs are so small and they're going to get eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you need to tell me what you would do with the 3-gallon
Yeah, because he challenged me, and he did all his fish in the same tank. I didn't take that the same way, so mine are going to be in different tanks. So for me, a 3-gallon that, I always think this is going to be on a desk somewhere or a kitchen counter, somewhere where it's like in addition to, like not a standalone feature.
Right.
So I want something that's going to draw me in to actually interact. And so I actually think 1 pea puffer is one of the perfect things you can do. Yes, there's a bunch in this 18-gallon tank, but 1 pea puffer, he'll beg for worms. You're going to have to, feed him almost by hand and all that, but it's a little, he's like having a little chihuahua.
And what sort of scape would you do with that?
So for scape, in this tank, because it's a 3-gallon, so it'd be that.
It's small, right?
What would I do? I personally would probably grab one of our moss bridges.
Okay.
And that would probably be like an arch from here to here.
Right.
I probably would grab a dwarf aquarium lily, which aren't very dwarf, but it would bring red on here and put lily pads up top.
And
so
it would probably fill that half.
Oh, for sure. You'd have to trim it a lot, but I think the kind of all the dimmer light over here with the red and then a bridge over here might look super cool. Might not, because I haven't done it yet, so I can't tell you if it's going to look cool, but you can always change it.
Right.
And it gives something for the pea puffer to like buzz around in and do what he needs to do. So that's one setup I would do.
It's one setup.
The other setup that I would do is actually these little guys. I think they're in here. SCARLET, BADIS. You can see it right underneath the sponge. And they're micro predators, so they eat lots of small stuff. but they're gonna hang out down low, and they got all that color and lots of stripes, and they're not very big, but keep in mind, this is a 10-gallon, and it seems huge. It's 3 times bigger than this 3-gallon.
Cut this in half this way and that way.
So I would do those guys, and then I would do clown killifish to be up towards the top. Right now they're down low, we're probably spooking them, but normally those guys that are gonna look super cool would be up towards the top, and you'd have kind of the theme I was thinking about is lots of stripes. You got those guys striped, you got these guys striped. There'll be different colors though.
And different water levels.
But they'll both eat the same microfoods. Frozen cyclops, fry foods, any of that super tiny food would work out well for both. And that's kind of what I was thinking, because it's hard to fit 3 different critters in only 3 gallons.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough. And so, you know, I didn't want to do just necessarily cookie cutter stuff, and I wanted to give you guys some options. And so that's where, you know, something like this takes more time than like a 55-gallon, because you're constantly pruning stuff. You're trying to make, it's like trying to make a studio apartment look huge. That's what you're trying to do. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of design, a lot of, you know, let's try this, let's try that. And you can see the scale, like that's just a BETTA, and all of a sudden it looks like a giant in there.
Giant BETTA.
But super happy.
It's a big red BETTA.
That's right, super happy. And, you know, I think this is, so this isn't obviously like, you would never submit this to a competition. It's not that type of tank. But I think this is the gold standard type of look for a nano tank. So if you're at home and you just want somewhere people go, wow, I need a little fish tank like that.
Right.
This is a tank that I think inspires that.
Yep.
Yes, you could, you know, make it a mountain range and trim it every day and make it look mind-blowingly cool. But this, I think, is sustainable long-term at your work office or on your kitchen counter.
Right.
And, you know, it's not so big that your significant other is going to say, hey, you got to move this thing. It won't look bad. It could be on a coffee table. And I really like it.
And a water change. You get an empty milk jug, clean it out really good, fill it the night before.
Stuff like this, I use like just a coffee mug.
Pitcher. Yeah, literally.
Yep.
I use a measuring cup.
Yeah, so it is a lot of maintenance and cutting plants and all that, but water changes are easy. So if you had like a hurt back or hurt shoulder, a small tank like this
really easy.
Is easy. Still more work, but easy work. It's just longer work. So yeah, I think those are.
And do you want to give a quick shout out to who aquascaped this? Because I saw something near the front door.
That's true. I haven't brought that up on camera before, but Caitlin, one of our employees, one of our treasured employees, which all of them are, but she's the one that's really spearheaded. You know, I was against anything lower than 5 gallons because a lot of people struggle because it's so much work.
It is a lot of work.
But I believe she's doing a good job in educating people, and we have so many bettas, and people want smaller tanks. She's leading by example, which is great. And then, you know, lately, she was actually presented with an award, which she's the only other employee, to my knowledge, that has gotten this award besides myself.
There's one other employee.
Yeah, so originally, I became a Master Aquatic Horticulturist, but so has Caitlin recently. So, you know, in January of this year, she became that, which, you know, now we have, quote unquote, 2 Master Aquatic Horticulturists on staff. It just means we know plants a lot, and we play with them a lot, and we spawned, and, you know, it's not spawned, but propagated and doubled their mass over and over again, and with lots of different species. And so she's a great resource, because I know people used to ask me a lot of plant questions, but I'm not in the store, I'm online now. Yeah. So she's a great resource to have around locally to go, well, let me pick your brain about that. I know you've done a lot. And so kudos to her for getting that. And I encourage all employees, you know, follow your passion. Like, I think Nick wants to become a master breeder, you know, because he's really he's bred, you know, different goldfish and knife fish and crazy cool stuff. Right. And so, yeah, when people follow their passions like that, we get better employees for it, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
So.
Plus, I think you also give them the ability to do that. And you know, there's other shops that might say, no, you can't do that. But you're giving them some freedom.
Well, and we want to put them on display. Like, if they're going to go ahead and, you know, do all this work, we want to display that prominently so that our customers know they are continuing education, they are knowledgeable, and we only try to hire people that are knowledgeable. So they start knowledgeable, and then we train them to make them more knowledgeable, and we hopefully pay them well enough they stay around for 10 years and become very, very knowledgeable. Right. Right. You know, and that's the goal, is we bring someone on, hopefully they never leave us. Right. So, exactly. Yeah, there's our 3 gallon.
There you go.
There it is, you know, and keep in mind, something like this isn't cheap. Just because you go smaller, it actually gets kind of expensive. So you look at the tank and it's 35 bucks. But by the time you build one of these with fish, you're probably at about $200 by the time you've got all the doodads. You needed to buy a dechlorinator, you needed fish food, you needed the fish, you needed a little air pump, all those things, because an air pump to run this tank is pretty much the same price as running a 55-gallon tank.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you don't really save money. You just get that small package that you might need for the space you're at.
Cool.